Okay, hello everybody and welcome to Right Angles, Author Spotlight. I'm here today with Harry Laing, children's poet from Braidwood. And welcome, Harry, to Right Angles.
Lovely, Kelly. Great to be here.
Thank you. Just a little bit of information about Harry before we get started. Harry Laing is the author of 3 books of poetry for kids, Shocktopus, get them out, Kelly, Shocktopus, and Moonfish, which is one of my favourites, and just recently, soon to be released, RapperBee, Poems to Give You a Buzz. And just to add, for the adults who are watching this, Harry also has a new book of adult poetry hot off the presses as we speak, called Unsettled. But we are focusing today on Harry's poems from RapperBee. Harry writes all sorts of poems for all ages and for all interests. So how about you? Would you like to hear a poem that's made entirely from sausage? Do you like limericks or riddles or poems shaped like mushrooms? What about chants or raps? Or maybe a ballad between a giant pencil and a rubber man? Then he's got some seriously lyrical poems about rivers and birds and all sorts of stuff. Harry, welcome again, and I'm so glad you're here. I love your poetry. Should we get started?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So I'm hoping that I've got all the questions that the kids out there watching are going to want to know the answers to, because I know I certainly do. My first question today, Harry, how long have you been writing poetry for?
Well, I've been writing poetry for adults for probably 30, 35 years, so like forever. And for kids, I've been writing for maybe 20, 25 years, so quite a long time.
That's still forever, isn't it?
Okay.
It's a long time, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you first started writing poetry, or even now, whose poetry do you, apart from your own, of course, whose poetry do you really enjoy reading, and maybe they inspired you to start writing poetry or to keep writing poetry?
Well, I think there's a bit of a genius poet called Shel Silverstein, and this is called A Light in the Attic. He's a really, really famous Canadian poet. And the brilliant thing about him was he did his own illustrations. So look at this beautiful illustration of a bear in the fridge. It's called Bear in There. There's a polar bear in our Frigidaire. He likes it because it's cold in there. So he's really funny, really smart. And hey, I copied the size of his book, which is an interesting size. It's bigger than your normal book, is exactly the same dimensions as RapperBee.
Excellent.
Sorry, Shel, but he's actually dead now, so that doesn't matter so much.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So you've also in RapperBee got some awesome illustrations there.
I do, and they're by Anne Ryan,
who is an absolute genius.
I think she is a genius. I think her illustrations are every bit as good as Shel Silverstein's, and I think it's just classic stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. And they add to the poems too, just like the poems, the pictures do in a picture book. There's always a little bit of extra in there if you know where to look.
Totally. And here's an interesting little tip that no one else knows, is that a lot of the poems I wrote were one-page poems, but Anne had such good ideas to illustrate them. She made them 2-page poems, or double-page spreads, as we call them. So there's a lot of double-page spreads in RapperBee with these fabulous illustrations going across 2 pages.
Like Pencil Man versus Rubber Man.
Like Pencil Man v Rubber Man, yeah.
That doesn't go on to the 3rd page, does it? It does too. It actually goes over 3 pages, that one. So
it is. It's 3 pages.
Moon poem next to it. That's fantastic. Okay, so Harry, seeing as we've just seen Pencil Man versus Rubber Man and seen how it goes over that 3-page spread or double-page spread plus another page, maybe you would like to perform that one for us today.
Sure. Okay, imagine this giant man made of pencil. He's just a giant pencil and a giant rubber man. Here's the story of a struggle that will take away your breath, how these 2 mortal enemies nearly fought themselves to death. Pencil Man is slimline smart. He's quick, he's on the ball. But Rubber Man's the bendy best and ultra flexible. Pencil Man is on his feet, sharpened up real good. He can draw as fast as anyone. He's a lethal piece of wood. Rubber Man is yawning. Oh, he's cunning and he's mean. There's nothing that he can't erase. He'll rub the whole world clean. So everyone's waiting. Who is going to win? Will Pencil Man come out on top, or this be the end of him? Rubber Man is grinning. Pencil Man begins to write. Rubber Man wipes every word. This is going to be a fight. Pencil Man draws lightning. Rubber Man gets struck. Pencil Man draws Rubber Man inside a garbage truck. Rubber Man backflips and kicks, cracks Pencil Man down low. Pencil Man has lost some lead. He's drawing way too slow. Pencil Man is limping. Rubber Man is worn too thin. He shouts at Pencil Man, "You're going to end up in the bin." Pencil Man is getting weak. His line is just a scrawl. There's really nothing left of him. He's centimeters tall. But Rubber Man's a sliver, worn to his last shreds. When Pencil Man has one last go, he writes, "Rubber Man is dead." And Rubber Man has gotten the strength to rub those words away. Falls into the rubbish bin. That's a dirty way to die. So Pencil Man's the winner. Let's give him all a cheer. No! He's stuck inside the sharpener. Pencil Man has disappeared.
Oh, I love that poem. I remember hearing you perform that the first time before RapperBee got published, actually. God, it would have been last year sometime. It's so wonderful. And you know, the lovely thing about poetry is that you can sit there and listen to it be performed, and you can have all these images in your head of, you know, the fight between the two of them and that sort of thing. It's wonderful. And I have to say, when I was teaching, I was just thinking, when Pencil Man got quite small, I remember some of the year 5s and 6s I was teaching writing with pencils that were literally 2 centimeters long. Yes, so it reminded me of that. And everybody can make a connection with these things. All right, so in RapperBee, as I mentioned in the intro, you've got poems of all sorts of styles. So you've got shape poems, there are poems that are rhyming, poems that aren't rhyming. There's rap, of course, being RapperBee, and there are ballads. What would be your favourite style of poem to write?
Oh, my favourite style of poem is a fun poem that you can perform, a fun poem that you can really hear, a poem that you want to perform when you hear it. That's my favourite kind of poem. So, for instance, a poem that uses a lot of sound and repeats sound and has a good rhythm. Mm-hmm. Do you want an example?
I would love an example. Yes, please.
Here's a sound poem that starts with fl, F-L, the flattering sound of fl. Flexing, I like flexing, flexing, I like flexing. Flamingos flex, dingoes flex, fleas like a flex, especially their necks, floors and flannels, flags and flaps. Everything flexes, even apps. Flexing, I like flexing. Flexing, I like flexing. Flying is flexing, flying's real flash. Flip, bad trip, careful you don't crash. Flexing, I like flexing. Flexing, I like flexing. Flowers are flexible, flies are too. Flex when you're flossing and your teeth are like new. Flea, flap, flannel wrap, flick it to the floor. Flexing like a flip-flop, flocking out the door.
Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome. You've got quite a few poems that play with sounds and letter combinations in RapperBee, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So wonderful for people to have a look at, and must be a lot of fun to write those as well. Just brainstorm all those flip words and then see what happens when you put them all together.
That's right. So you think of some flip words or some blut words or some chip words or some sh words, and you put them all together, and what do you get? And then maybe if you've got a nice little rhythm going for a line like flexing, I like flexing, why not repeat it?
Absolutely. Yes. You make it sound so easy too. Is it easy?
If you're enjoying it, yes.
Yeah.
If it's making you laugh and it's making you think, yeah, I like that. I can hear myself saying that. I can hear myself performing that. Yeah. Then you'll find a way to write it and finish it.
Yeah, and that's the same with all sorts of writing, isn't it? Like if you love doing it and it gives you great joy, then it's much
Absolutely.
easier
If
to
it
do.
makes you laugh, if it makes you cry, if it makes you think, it will make other people do all those things too.
Absolutely. Now, on that, thinking about topics, because you do have a really broad range of topics that you've written about in all of your poetry books. So, and you write about almost everything from really funny everyday things. You've got poems about garbage bins and body parts and all that sort of thing, right through to very serious topics like the bushfires and that sort of thing. And so with your topics, you're talking about, having a bit of fun or passing on a message and that sort of thing, which would be out of RapperBee, I suppose, the RapperBee poems, which one or ones are your favorite? And I ask authors this question all the time, and they're like, oh, everyone is my favorite because I produce them and that sort of thing. But I'm like, you must have one or two that are your absolute favorites to perform, or because they send a great message.
Yeah, well, here's my answer to that question, Kelly. Everyone is my favorite. But here's one, which it's sometimes really good. The lovely thing about poems are they can be, and so often they should be, really short. Do you see how short? That poem's smaller than the illustration, which is a giant clock.
Absolutely.
So here's a really tight little poem called Clock Shock. Thank you for saying that I write about all kinds of things, because I think you can write about literally anything. So you can just take a look around the room that you're in and think, hey, there's a clock. I'm going to write this. Clock shock. I am a slave. I work for time. The way they treat me is a crime. Don't slow down is all they say. I never get a holiday. I'd love to lose my hands, my face, and travel to some timeless place. No more seconds, no more hours, no more minutes. I'd count the flowers.
Awesome. And it just ends, doesn't it? As well, just observations from the point of view of a clock. It's fantastic. So you don't have to write like you're looking at something. You can pretend to be that thing, can't you?
That is actually a really great thing to do. If you're stuck, if you're blocked, you can channel something that you're just looking at and be its voice.
Yes.
So write it in the first person, like I. So I am a window and I am sick of people looking through me. I want to do something different. Yeah, you be that object.
Yeah, and doesn't matter, like, nothing is too silly, is it, for a poem?
No, nothing, nothing.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to jump forward, because you talked about, what people can do if they're blocked. And I myself suffer from this, but also, and all writers do, but I know kids do an awful lot. They're told by their teacher to, we're going to write on this topic, or we're going to write poetry today, we're going to write a short story today. And in the child's head is, oh, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to do. Or they start and then they can't get it to work. So you must have experienced that, that sort of thing. And when this happens to you, what do you do? If you've got any tips, or your 3 top tips to help us and help the kids write some fantastic poetry?
Sometimes the best thing to do if you can't think what to write is just to write it anyway and not think about it. So you're not thinking, because thinking isn't writing. You're actually physically writing. So you put your pencil on the page and you just write whatever comes into your head. Just write a few lines and really enjoy the fact that you're just writing why, what a strange feeling I have in my hand. But you don't have to worry about punctuating it or making sense or doing paragraphs or anything. It's called stream writing or automatic writing. That is a great way to just get those words flowing. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. You might just get up and walk around the room actually, because sometimes I find that if I'm feeling a bit blocked, I've got maybe an idea, a couple of words in my head, I go outside and I go for a walk. Take the dog for a walk or do something, just do something physical, do something outside. So that's quite good. That breaks sometimes the block. And like I just said, you can be anything and you can channel anything in a poem. So why not just say to yourself, well, I wonder what this most ridiculous thing to write about I could possibly write about. Would it be the webcam? Would it be my water bottle? Would it be a pencil? I wrote a whole 3-page poem about a pencil and a rubber. So I've written poems about school carpets. I've written poems about thumbs. I've written poems about old tires and wheelie bins and taps. I love writing about things.
All sorts of things.
So challenge yourself. Well, okay, it doesn't have to be about big feelings or, you know, the sky, the flowers, the trees. No, it can be about actually your nose.
Anything.
Or your hair or anything.
Yeah, you have a poem about a nose in RapperBee?
I do actually. Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do have a poem about a nose.
Right at the end.
It's quite spooky.
Oh, is it spooky?
Yeah.
You know, some people just
it's
like
actually
being
a
spooked. It's a nightmare, is it?
Do they?
Okay, the nightmare of the nose.
Yeah.
You want to read that one?
Okay. Nightmare of the nose. There's a special kind of nightmare when you're lying on your back and you can't move a muscle and everything is black and your mouth is dry as paper. There's no feeling in your toes and suddenly you realize you haven't got a nose. A sniffling sound, you look around, lights coming from the floor. Your nose is fluorescent green and walking out the door. Ah! So you get up and you follow. Your nose knows what to do. Suddenly you're in the street and your neighbor's noseless too. There are noses bouncing everywhere, on grass, on cars, in trees. The noise they make is horrible, like a tidal wave of sneeze. Stop, you say, but you can't shout. You're frozen to the spot and the noses run towards you, trailing fluorescent snot. Ah! Finally, you wake up. And the first thing that you do is find the nearest mirror, check. Yes, your nose is good as new.
I knew there was a reason why I asked you to read that poem. I think kids will absolutely love it. All right. Anyway, so I know a question that a lot of people get asked, a lot of authors get asked, is what exactly do you do all day? Are you glued to your computer all day? You just sit around and daydream and write all day? What does a typical day look like for Harry Laing?
My Day by Harry Laing. I get up about 11:30. No. No, I'm not glued to my computer all day. That would drive me nuts. But inevitably, I am glued to my computer for some of the day because I suppose I do a lot of writing on the computer. But really, ideally, is my day would be going up to my writing hut, which is on the edge of the forest, just up there. Got this beautiful writing hut that's 3 meters by 3 meters, wooden, and it's got a view of the mountains. And I look out and I sit at my big work table. And even if I'm feeling really blocked, oh God, I don't know what to say, if I just sit there, even 10 minutes, I start to scribble a few things and things start to happen. So I handwrite up there. I never type stuff up there. I handwrite, or I take my journal out and I see what I've written the day before. So mornings are good writing time for me. Afternoons the time for going outside and doing lots of stuff, lots of work, physical stuff, things that need to be done. I don't like writing all day because I get really impatient and I need to go and do things. And evenings are for relaxing and reading.
It's like having a bit of a brain break, isn't it? Really, is
going outside,
that movement and going outside, going to a different spot.
And you can have ideas doing that when you're not trying to think of something, when you're not worrying about, oh, what am I going to say, or how am I going to... Sometimes you get a nice little phrase in your head or some words or a rhythm, which could be the key to starting a new poem, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that you don't type everything up on the computer. So you're not doing everything on the computer. Sometimes you handwrite.
Absolutely, I do. I've got bits of paper all over the place, sometimes really small scraps of paper. You know, I can remember being in a plane once when you could get in planes. I think it was in America. And I remember a really little kid with its mother, he with his mother, in the seats behind, and he was singing a little song about chocolate. And it was actually in Spanish. And he just kept repeating chocolate, chocolate, you know, and I thought, chocolate, chocolate. So I ended up with my own poem, Chocolate City, from hearing that little song, you know. So anywhere, anytime you can get inspiration. And yeah.
I love hearing that. So Chocolate City is from Moonfish, I think, isn't it? Is that in Moonfish?
That's right. Yes.
And I always wondered, because when I used to read that to the students at school, I always wondered where you got the inspiration for that poem from. So it's just, hearing about people's, you know, what inspired you to write this particular poem is always fascinating. So I'm going to have to go and read that poem again, Out of Moonfish. Okay. And one other thing I wanted to say, you have a writing hut. Is that what you said?
A writing hut, I do.
Oh, I am so jealous. You know, apparently, I think Roald Dahl, was it? He had a little, like a writing cubby house as well, I think. I remember reading that somewhere.
Did, now you mention it. Yes, I think it was one of those ones at the bottom of the garden, and he just went in there, and I think he used to. I bet it didn't have heat, and he used to get into a sleeping bag or something to keep warm.
And it was a really tiny little spot. It was just him and his typewriter, I think.
And he was a big, tall man, so he would have been jammed into it, typing away these masterpieces. That's right,
Yeah.
So you don't need all the fancy technology. You just need a pencil, and you need a nice journal, a notebook that you jot stuff down in, and you go back and have a read of it, and maybe do some stream writing, write a bit more. And I like having various things on the go at one time. I might be writing 3 different poems at one time. So I do a bit on that one. And then you've got to be careful you don't con yourself, that you do have to finish things. So, okay, is this the finished draft of this poem and not just number 53?
Yes, yeah.
And the only way to test that is that you have to do it, perform it for yourself, read it out. Are you happy with it? Do you think the audience will like that?
Yeah.
Because you might want to change that last line.
Yeah, and reading it out aloud is a really good way of working out whether or not it works, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so when you wrote Shocktopus, and I'll just show everybody again. So when you wrote Shocktopus, Poems to Grip for You, which was your first book for kids,
it was,
a wonderful friend of yours actually made you a Shocktopus, didn't they? Yes.
She did.
And was it the same friend when you wrote Moonfish?
Absolutely.
Who made you a moonfish?
Yes.
Excellent. Now, I've seen your Shocktopus and your Moonfish, and they're absolutely, I love Shocktopus. He's so cool. Did she happen to make you a RapperBee, Harry?
Well, no. Did she? Oh, well, actually.
Oh my God, how cool is he?
How cool is RapperBee? He is the best. Yes, he is, the antennae.
Oh, and he's got his own book.
He's got his own book. He is such a dude. Yep.
All right. I think, Harry, we need to perhaps hear RapperBee.
I think you do.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. First time in public. Here's RapperBee, everybody. Zub, 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 zub. So, I am the RapperBee. You gonna rap with me? I'm the power to the flowers. I'm the living of the buzz. I'm the sweetest. I'm the neatest RapperBee that ever was. I got rhythm, I got timing, and my brilliance is blinding. I do words instead of honey. I'm the buzzer, I'm the money. I'm the push in the bush and the zoom in the bloom. Pack a sting with my bling, you can see through my wings. Cause I'm the rapper bee, and you can flatter me. I'm faster than the flies, and I'm speeding through the skies. I'm the rapper bee. Why don't you rap with me? I'm the fur and the fuzz and the bloom and the buzz. I'm the zip and the swip and the storm and the storm. Cause I'm always performing. My rhythm is freeing. Cause rap is my being. Zub 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 zit zit zub 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 zit zit zub 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 zit 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 zit. RapperBee!
Oh, I loved it. That was awesome. And RapperBee is seriously cool. I love him. Glasses, the hat, everything. Thank you so much. Harry, thank you again, and thank you for bringing RapperBee along and joining us today. It's been so much fun, and I just want to sit here and say to you, okay, now perform that poem. Now do that one. Now do that one. But you know what? People have just got to buy the book and have a go at performing them themselves, don't they? And reading them out
Absolutely.
loud.
I think they'll enjoy it.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you would like to finish with? Any messages for people? Final words from Harry Laing.
Final words from Harry Laing. Well, I love writing poetry. I love performing poetry, and I know you are going to love writing and performing poetry. So if I can be a bit of inspiration and make it really fun, which it actually secretly is, just do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harry. Awesome.